Guys, for this assignment, we are going to be talking about the element of art, value. Value is a very important element of art, and it includes using the darkness and lightness of a color. So it's the transition from dark to light. You can see at the top I have a value scale. In the middle here, I created a shade and a tint using colored pencil. I used just a regular pencil showing dark to light values as gradually as I could. And I also shaded in two spheres, which is a form meant to look 3D. So instead of just a plain old circle, a sphere is the three-dimensional version. For this assignment or this activity, you're going to need a piece of paper, pencil, ruler, and colored pencils. The first thing I'm going to show you how to do is actually creating these rectangles that we're going to need for our value scales. So the very first one, we're just going to create a long rectangle. Now I want you to use your ruler to make sure it's nice and straight. This activity is going to work out well if you are making sure you're starting out using a nice rectangle. Notice how I use the top of my ruler and I match it up with the side of the paper so I know I'm making a straight line. After I make that large rectangle, I'm going to make another rectangle. This one's going to be a little bit smaller, a little bit shorter, but what I'm going to need to do is break it up into 3 different boxes. So just turning my ruler, I'm going to draw 4 lines going down so I have 3 separate boxes. For the pencil value scale, we can make a smaller one. So I'm just going to make a skinny little rectangle, but I'm going to break it up into 6 boxes because I want to try to make 6 different values with my pencil. Now for the circle, I suggest looking around your house, trying to find something that you can trace. So I found this water bottle lid. I'm going to trace it 2 times because we're going to try it with colored pencil, and we're also going to try in just regular pencil. Alright, to get started with the value scale, I want you to choose a colored pencil, preferably a darker color. So don't choose yellow. Yellow won't work out too well with this. Maybe blue, red, purple, green. I'm going to use blue for this version. And I'm going to start off on the left side of my rectangle and press down as hard as I can. I'm also trying to fill up all of the space. I don't want to leave any part of this rectangle empty, so I'm going to go over it a few times. As I start moving down this rectangle, I'm going to start releasing the pressure, the amount of pressure that I'm pressing down with my colored pencil. So I'm just kind of lifting it up a little bit. I'm still kind of coloring a little heavy, but you can see that I'm gradually trying to get lighter and lighter as I move down. Again, you can always go work backwards and do a second layer over top of what you've already done. Here is where I'm really going to start lifting the amount of pressure that I am pressing down. Try to make it look like it's colored in nice and light. And as I move further and further down, I'm going to get lighter and lighter. I'm really trying to get this rectangle to look like it's moving from dark to light as smoothly as I possibly can. Here I'm pressing down like barely, it's like a feather. Then I'm going to go over this rectangle a second time. Notice I changed the direction that I am coloring. When I first started, I was coloring up and down vertically. Now I'm going across my original colored pencil marks, and this is going to help make it look a little smoother. Now for the next activity, we're going to make shades and tints of a single color. So here you're going to need a white colored pencil and a black colored pencil. So these 3 are what you need for the second one. Let's get the black and white colored pencil out of the way and color in the center square with our pure color as dark as we can. So as pure as we possibly can. I start this by first outlining the box before coloring it in, just to ensure that this is going to look very clean when I'm all done. And I'm going to do 2 layers with this colored pencil to make sure I'm getting all my spots and to make it look nice and clean. For my tint, which is where we add white to our color, I'm going to color in this box kind of about halfway, like half amount of pressure. And also notice I'm going in a diagonal direction. So I'm going from corner to corner. And there's a reason for this. So after I fill up this entire box, I'm going to take the white and I'm going to color over top of that in the opposite direction. So still at a diagonal, but I'm going from corner to corner. You can see this is making that blue a little lighter. And I am going to go over it a second time with the blue. So really take your time with the coloring. Making sure you get all those spots. I can then use my pencil and label this a tint, because a tint is when we add white to a color. Moving on to a shade, I'm going to do the same exact thing. I'm going to color in using half the amount of pressure, so I'm not pressing down all the way like I did in the middle, of my color in a diagonal direction. I am then going to take a black colored pencil and lightly color over it, using the same amount of pressure. So again, I'm not pressing down all the way. I want this to be a nice, light covering over top of the blue. And what I'm gonna do is several rounds of going back and forth between using the blue and the black. And again, I'm just pressing down very lightly. But you can see with every layer, this color blue is getting darker and darker. So a shade is when we add black to our color. And when you feel like you have a color that you are satisfied with, so it definitely looks a shade darker than the middle one, you can then label this box your shade. The next activity, we're just using our plain old pencil. This is going to challenge us to try to get our values to go from dark to light as smoothly as we possibly can. So our very first little square is going to be as dark as I can get my pencil. So I'm gonna do 2 layers of coloring with my colored pencil. And for the next one, I'm just going to do 1 layer that looks like it is just a tiny bit lighter than the first one. Moving into the next one, I'm just going to start pressing down a little bit lighter, so I'm releasing some of the pressure. It's still kind of dark, but it's definitely lighter than the first 2. And as I move down these boxes, you're gonna see I'm just pressing down lighter and lighter each and every time. This second to last one, I'm just gonna barely press down. And I'm actually gonna put my pencil down for the last one. What I'm gonna do is just take my finger and kind of smear the pencil markings a little bit. So it's not leaving it blank, it's giving it just a very, very light value with my pencil. That's the fun thing about pencils, we can use our finger to blend it. I used my eraser just to kind of clean up the excess amount of pencil on the outside. Moving on to the spheres, I want you to pay attention to where I put the light source. So what this means is if we had a light shining on this ball or this sphere, it's going to be darker furthest away from that light source, and we're going to have a brighter spot right where that light source would be shining. Now what I want you to do when you color is not color up and down or across, but start coloring in the same direction of the curve of the circle, because this is going to make it appear to be more 3D when it is done. So I'm kind of coloring with that curve in mind. And right now I'm just starting with like a medium shade, slowly getting lighter and lighter and lighter as I move on to the brighter spot where the light would be shining. And then I'm going to go over with a second layer of my colored pencil, again pressing down harder, further away from where the light source would be shining. And I'm just going over all of these areas very lightly just to make sure it looks nice and smooth. You can always add a shadow underneath to show that it is a ball sitting on a surface. When I do this with a pencil, This one's actually a lot of fun because we get to use our finger to smear it. So again, I'm just going to do like medium pressure with my pencil, coloring around in the same direction of the curve of the circle. So this may look a little sloppy in the beginning, but that's why we do several layers to make sure we're making it look as smooth and clean as we possibly can. So again, we're trying to get our values to go from dark to light as smoothly as we possibly can. And this is really where doing several layers helps. I'm going to right now just take my finger and smear from my pencil marks into the white area. And that helps get a nice gradient of color. So I'm going to go back over with my pencil. Again, pressing down harder here at this side of the ball. And really take your time here, trying to filling up all of your areas. And you can smear as much as you want to and do as many layers as you think you need to do in order to get that nice transition from light to dark. I always like to clean up around my work to make it look nice and neat. Add an even brighter spot by using your eraser. So if the light was shining right there, it would be a little bit brighter. And I can add a shadow as well. Now, all of these activities that you just did are going to help us in our future projects. Take your time with this practice activity, and I can't wait to see how you do. Have fun.